This is my setup for digital dice. So you have my task description and pseudocode. Kind of my goal is when the button is pressed, first it clears all the LEDs back to low, and then it picks and saves a random number, and then it lights up the corresponding number of LEDs on the board. How my board is set up over here. First you can see I got 7 LEDs arranged in dice format. So the idea is if I roll a digital 1, that should light up just this middle LED. A 2 should light up the first 2. 5 would be the corners plus the center one. Diagram right here showing that if I say rolled a 6, that should be LEDs numbered 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Down at this bottom here, I identified what my dice roll would be, what actual LED numbers those are corresponding to my little diagram. And then I also put what the index numbers, because I'm planning to use arrays. And I know arrays actually start at index of 0 and go up to, in this case, 6, as opposed to starting at index 1 and going up to 7. So all these are just one lower than their corresponding LED highs. So from there, I made a little diagram. I said I was going to plug in LED 1 would be plugged into digital 12. Same kind of format as before. The digital port going to the LED, going to our resistor, going to ground. I actually had to look the button up in our next little chapter over here, but it basically looks like on the button one side of it goes to ground, the other side is connected to 5 volts with a different type of resistor, which then has a branching path that goes back over into a digital port. What I found is whenever the button is pressed, that's going to activate my code. So going back to the actual code, what I got, first I set up my variables and set up my LED array and set up my button. Then I set up my button as an input, and I set up all my LEDs with an array as outputs. There's my good old friend debugger tool. We'll get to that shortly. But then inside of my code, we start off with inside the loop making a button for or a variable for the button value. And all it's doing is reading the button. So what I actually found reading the document is whenever the button is pressed, this is going to give a value of low. And if we look back at our little picture over here, if I press the button, that's going to allow current to flow out through the circuit. If I don't press the button, then that has my electrical circuit goes from this resistor back over to the board. So what I want is whenever the button is pressed, that should give me a low value for this little green wire here, as my current no longer passes through the green wire, but instead passes through the button back over to ground. So that's where that low value came from. And then I have just a simple command called dice roll. So when I roll the dice, first I'm going to clear LEDs, and that's another void function I'll make below. I randomly roll a number up to 6. This is a debugger that I'll get to in a second. And then last but not least, I show my LED and I input that number, and this is again is another function we'll see just a little bit. Second to last function, this is my clear LEDs function. So all this does is an array, and it goes through every single LED and just turns them all off. Kind of like a reset function. Then if I get down to my show LED, if I roll a 1, this corresponds to LED array number 3. So again, back from this, roll a dice, it's LED number 4 here, but in the array, these get indexed instead of 1 from 7, from 0 up to 6. So my index number for a 4 would be 1 less at a 3. And that's where that LED 3 comes in. Else, if I roll a 2, turn on the corresponding LEDs up to 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's download it and see how it works. So let's go ahead and press a button. Now it's rolled a 1. Press it again, now it's rolled another 1. Press it again. You can see they're kind of flip back and forth really fast. That's currently what I'm trying to fix, and I'll make a follow-up video just for that portion. But right now it's showing a 2. We can see my debugger most recent number is in fact a 2. And if I press it again, now it's a 4. And my debugger window again shows a 4. If it can focus.